Well, this is the new bike that Bianchi has just brought out, and it's called the Ultra RC, and it's replacing the Ultra XR4 as their top tier bike. Now, they have a number of tiers. They have the Ultra RC, which is the all-out super hyper bike that they're calling it, and then you have the Ultra Pro, and then there's just the Ultra, and you can get them with different group sets on them, with the SRAM Axis 12 speed being the most expensive of all the different group sets, which has really pushed Campagnolo out as the most expensive group set, and it's electric only. So let's roll that intro and let's have a bit of a talk about this brand new Bianchi Ultra RC. Now, the number of things that this bike has new features, it's a full aero bike with all proprietary parts on it. Even the wheels are Repatro Corsa, which is from Bianchi itself. So the whole bike is Bianchi. There's no putting on different wheels like Campagnolo or whatever. The only thing that's not Bianchi on the bike is the group sets. So the whole caboodle is from Bianchi, and it's got a new styled handlebar stem combination, which unusually angles upwards, and it's got like a hole in it. It's kind of a sort of a Cervelo S5 modification. It's actually quite different, but it kind of gives that kind of look of a one-piece type of device. And they've got an integrated seat post as well, which obviously means if something happens to that or it's played up, we've seen there's been a lot of trouble with them and with other brands, but it's got a proprietary seat post as well. So this bike, what's special on it? Well, what is really special on it is it's got these vortex generators which are on the steerer tube on the outside. They're quite small, and there's two vents. There's a bolt, it's bolted onto the main frame of the bike with two bolts, and above the bolts there's a vortex generator, and below the bolts there's a vortex generator, and they're very, very small. Now, Hambini went and did a video on that, and I won't walk on his turf because he's the aerodynamic expert, so you can go and watch that if you're interested what he thinks about those vortex generators. But from my point of view, this bike is somewhat of a trend in what the bikes are going, where they're going to this one-piece stem handlebar system, and I see this as the biggest Achilles heel with this bike, because this bike is really an arm and leg to buy. It's interesting, the pricing, because in Australian dollars, the price of this bike is, let me just get my notes, so and make sure you are sitting down, because this one is really super high. Now, SRAM Red is the most expensive here, and for the Ultra RC, it's a $24,599 retail. And then with the Super Record, which is unusual, as I think SRAM has pushed it out as the most expensive group set, is $23,999, and Durace is $22,549. So they're insane prices. That's more expensive than an SL7 S-Work with everything on it, which is around about $21,500. Now, when we compare it to the old XR4, when that came out, and you could get that with Campagnolo EPS, which was the 11-speed at the time, I don't think that was more than 15,000. I mean, around about that mark there for that bike. And we're looking at a model increment change. We're talking somewhere in the round of 10 grand or approaching 10 grand AUD, which is pretty hard to comprehend in my brain. I just kind of, like, when I saw the price of these bikes, I just couldn't believe it. But getting back to the handlebars, now, the biggest problem I find with these type of integrated handlebars is, does the manufacturer offer a significant amount of options? Now, most of the brands, when they do this, offer like 16 different styles. And you might go, hey, look, that sounds quite a few. But when you think about it, it's actually not. Because if you had 4 different sizes in the width, 1, 2, 3, 4, which could go from 42, 40, 38, maybe one in between. Well, they go 42, 40, 38, 36. Yeah, okay, so you go to those. And then you would have 4 extensions of lengths, which is fine, but it doesn't allow for tilt in the stem like this. And some people like to run their bars a little bit tilted with the brake levers a little bit further down. Now, okay, you can mount them more around, but you haven't got that adjustment or that tilt. And if you want to do any servicing, obviously you need to pull everything apart because all of the cables are finely adjusted to those lengths. So you can't just adjust things, or if you have any problems, you have to pull everything apart to get to it because you want to change it. Or just say you wanted to change, you found the stem was too short and you wanted to put a new stem in, you have to get the whole braking system completely redone because the hoses are not going to be long enough if you go for a longer stem. If you go for a shorter stem, maybe you could get away with it. And that's why I don't like these bikes, because I just did a video where we had the Superbike compared to a Aubrey bike, and Cy and Ollie were saying, oh, we don't really fit this Superbike, and that could have been why we didn't have a better performance. Well, here we have a bike that we're paying 25,000 AUD for, and can we actually adjust it and dial ourselves in to get the perfect fit? Now, I looked on the website. I can't see anywhere where it talks about handlebars, how many options they've got, whatever. I tried to find it. I can't see anything on there. If you guys have got any information, you know something about the handlebars or what they can offer differently, leave those comments down below. Now, just so you don't want to spend 25,000 for the top Ultra RC, they do have some models that are lower, but they're still pretty pricey. They have an Ultra Pro, which is the second tier down. I won't go through the pricing, but if you go down to the third tier Ultra, which obviously is the top, second top, third top frame set, they're fitting Rival and 105 to that frame set, and the Rival is over $10,000 AUD for a Rival group set, and 8.7 for a 105 Shimano group set. Just let that sink in for a moment. So these are the prices that Bianchi are really putting out there. I don't know, man. I think they're taking the piss with this marketing, because there's no way this bike, made in China, painted in Italy, I can see really that value is worth these bikes. I just cannot see it. Even at the 105 Arrival level, there's no way you can call Rival and 105 on these price bikes as the everyman's group set anymore. That's just a complete fallacy with the pricings that they're putting on these bikes. You go to a person who doesn't ride bikes and you go, oh, you're 10 grand for a mid-tier bike, they're going to fall over. So that's the problem I've got with this new Bianchi. It's just really jumped up the price. As I said, $10,000, and I find that is just, it's ridiculous. So in conclusion, do I recommend buying this bike or upgrading it from the old XR4 Ultra? If that's what you've got, you've got a Bianchi man, you only ride Bianchi, you've got an Ultra XR4. Okay, it's got a nice little vortex and it looks sexy. It's got this different type of handlebar set. But I would probably say, if you're looking at upgrading your bike, I would just keep your Ultra XR4, which was really highly rated when it was reviewed as a aero everything bike. And what you could do is you could throw your 11 speed away or sell it, on Facebook or something like that and get yourself a 12-speed Campagnolo, which EPS, because these bikes are electric only, and you could get the $6,000 one and you could put that on your bike and you would have a beautiful bike. The new Campagnolo is really good, or even Shimano, SRAM, whatever you're into, and your bike would have that extra gear and it would be renewed and you would be saving a hell of a lot of money on your pocket than what you would going out and buying one of these new bikes, and you still would have a top tier bike. I don't think the step up in price is really worth it, what they're charging for these bikes. These bikes would have to be probably the most expensive off-the-shelf bikes at the moment. I don't know anything that's more expensive than this, and I thought the SL7 at $21,500 was pretty dear. And also at these prices, it really makes it quite feasible for you to go to custom bikes, because custom bikes, very easily for that price, you could build yourself a fantastic, beautiful bike, which is painted the way you want it, built up, the handlebars, everything to fit you, right size, everything. You don't have to tick any boxes or ask Bianchi, can I swap this, or your dealer, because I don't know if they're offering that. They don't say anywhere, which I think is a little bit poor when you're spending $25,000. So guys, that's it. That's the new Bianchi Oltre RC. It's arm and a leg to buy. If you really want one, well, go for it. But that's serious dosh to pay for a push bike, regardless if they're calling it a hyper bike or not, and it's got little vortex generators on. Okay, guys, leave your comments down below. What do you think about a $25,000 AUD bike that really eclipses every other bike on the market in price? And do you think that Bianchi are really worth it, these new Ultra RCs, considering they're still made in the Far East? I think they're made in Vietnam, not China, but that may have changed. They used to be made in Vietnam. I don't know if they've actually gone back to China. If someone does know, let us know down below. But I know they're not made in Italy. Okay, guys, that's where I'm signing off, and I'll see you next vid. Cheers.